Apple did a killer job at their September event announcing the new iPhone 15 lineup and some other products, but there are some things that they conveniently did not mention, both good and bad, that can affect which phone you're gonna wanna buy, or maybe even buy an older iPhone instead, so make sure to pay attention. The first thing they didn't mention is the fact that the new iPhone 15 Pros come with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now, typically the Pros have had more RAM than the regular iPhones, but last year with the 14 series, all of them came with the same 6 gigs of RAM, but this year, if you spend the extra money, you'll be able to have more background applications open and save yourself from getting auto-close applications, which could be frustrating. Number 2 is the new 5G chip in the iPhone 15 and 15 Pros. This is Qualcomm's X70 modem, which has been updated from last year. Now, the top speed is theoretically the same as the X65, but the real-world performance should get better, and what's even more important is it's gonna have better reception. So if you have areas where you have very low signal or maybe no signal at all, these new iPhones are going to improve on that, and that is really helpful. And with number 3, we are getting into a bunch of camera details that are important. That first one is that the iPhone 15 Pros actually have the same exact cameras as the iPhone 14 Pros. Apple spent a bunch of time showing off what they can do, but the improvements are actually all processing, and with that, the smaller size iPhone 15 Pro, that 3x telephoto, it is actually 3 years old now. And for number 4, the 48 megapixel that is now in the iPhone 15 is actually a new and more advanced sensor than the reused one that is coming with the 15 Pros. Now, it is slightly smaller, but has a bunch of new technology, and we'll have to see how it compares to the 48 megapixel in the 15 Pro, and if Apple is gonna allow it to be better or limit it. So if you guys wanna see those tests, make sure you guys click that subscribe button down below. As for number 5, on stage, Apple mentioned that we are gonna be able to get 24 megapixel images out of the new iPhone 15s, which give you better quality, but they actually save on file space. What they did not say is the HEIF Max mode that is also available for the iPhone 15. So yes, you will be able to take full 48 megapixel images, where some Android phones, they have big sensors, but they will not allow you to save that because of their hardware. So you'll be able to get 48 megapixels just like you can on the Pro phones. Check out this amazing new charging system from our partner Mouse. This is their most advanced wireless charging ecosystem ever, with 2 times faster charging speeds thanks to the official MagSafe module from Apple. It's fully modular, so you can choose what works best for you or expand your charging setup later thanks to the magnetic pogo connections, so no need for cables. They have built-in heat sinks to prevent overheating and USB-C out for charging other devices. And these work great with a mouse case or with MagSafe iPhones, and with 3 premium finishes to choose from, you can upgrade your charging experience at the link in the video description. For number 6, Apple did not mention the zoom capabilities of the iPhone 15. With the 14s and previous, you were stuck at only 5x, where the Android competition did way better even without a telephoto camera. But now we found out that you can go all the way up to 10x on this new 48 megapixel sensor, and even though you are twice as close, the quality should still be better than it was previously. For the next one, number 7, that is the iPhone 15's zoom capability. We have that new 5x telephoto instead of 3x, but now instead of maxing out at 15 times zoom, you can go up to 25 times zoom, and the quality looks surprisingly good from what I've seen. As for number 8, Apple showed off being able to take much better portrait shots with the iPhone 15, but they did not mention that you will be able to use the new 2x mode for portrait shots. Previously, Apple limited it to 1x. You couldn't even zoom if you were in portrait mode, and that meant that you can get some distortions at times, and it just did not look great. Well, now, based on the pictures they shared, you could tell portrait mode is enabled, and that is gonna be a really nice upgrade for regular iPhone purchasers. And for number 9, Apple made a big deal about how these new phones are going to be able to get portrait shots out of regular photos, so you don't have to go into portrait mode because it's going to save that data. Well, now we know that older iPhones, the iPhone 14 Pro, will be able to do this as well. You can actually take images that are stored in your camera roll and add the portrait effect, and that is awesome. That's one reason why you might not need to upgrade, because you're going to have that in your older phone. With that, for number 10, the 24 and 48 megapixel HEIF shots are also coming to the iPhone 14 Pro. This was my biggest complaint because the photos that were stored were 12 megapixel, and if you wanted 48, you had to shoot with ProRAW, which gave you massive image sizes, and then you had to convert those later as a pain. But they are bringing this new mode to the iPhone 14 Pro. Once again, that is awesome. For number 11, Apple mentioned Qi 2 standard for wireless charging, and Apple actually opened up their MagSafe design to be able to use with other phones. But what they didn't say is that it is still limited to 7.5 watts. Nobody was expecting this. We thought that you would get 15 watts on third-party chargers. I would love to be able to get my Tesla wireless charging pad to be able to get my full performance, but Apple is still limiting this, and that is terrible. Number 12 is the display support on these new iPhones. Now, we have USB Type-C, which is really nice, but a big upgrade that came with that is the ability to connect a cable directly from your phone to your TV or a monitor and get 4K 60 HDR out. Previously, you were limited to just regular 1080p. Now, you can also use their $69 USB Type-C adapter, which gives you power in, HDMI out, as well as USB if you want to connect with HDMI, and you'll get really good quality video. The next one has got to do with the new roadside assistance feature that they showed off. Of course, with the iPhone 14 lineup, we got satellite SOS for emergencies, and that was cool, but roadside assistance is going to be something that people are going to use way more often, and it made it seem like that is something that's coming with just the new iPhone 15s, but that is actually available for the 14 series as well, and that is a nice thing that they're not limiting it. Moving on to 14, this is Wi-Fi 6E. Now, it was a quick little blip on the screen, but they didn't talk about it, and Wi-Fi 6E support helps you to get really good speed. It's actually faster, and it helps with congested areas. If there's a lot of houses around you with Wi-Fi, you can have slowdowns. Now, I tested a Wi-Fi 6E router previously with the new MacBooks that got Wi-Fi 6E, and one interesting thing is, even if you don't have Wi-Fi 6E, you actually get much better Wi-Fi range and speed even with your regular router, so that's gonna help everybody on these new phones. And number 15 is Thread support for smart devices. This was briefly flashed on screen, they didn't talk about it, but Thread is a mesh network for smart devices that improves connectivity and responsiveness, and it allows for direct control. Now, some HomePods and Apple TV have them, but this is actually the first phone that is coming with it, and that means you can control your smart devices without internet or even a Wi-Fi network, and even if your power goes out, if you have some battery-enabled smart devices, you could still have direct control, which is really nice. And for number 16, not only is there no rumored red titanium iPhone 15 Pro, but there is not even a red iPhone 15, which I absolutely loved. And that also means that there is no product red iPhone this year that supports charities. Now, Apple has donated over $270 million from their product red products, and when buying one on the order page, they distinctly set it apart and they give you other information about it, but it looks like they are not doing that anymore with this new lineup. And now I want to touch on a couple other interesting things. For 17, both the Series 9 and the Ultra 2 Apple Watches now have doubled the storage up to 64 gigabytes. They did not mention this, I don't know why, but you do have more storage if you like to store a lot of music, podcasts, or other things on your Apple Watch. And for 18, replacing your Apple Watch battery just got about 25% more expensive. Now, I don't know why they would do this, other than just to help bump you up a little bit to spend extra money on a new Apple Watch instead of getting a new battery in your old one. For number 19, this one is super cool. You can now charge your Apple Watch or your AirPods with the iPhone 15's USB Type-C port. Now, they could be locking it down just to those devices since there's no mention of charging another phone, or they could just be limiting it to low wattage since even the Ultras only charge at 5 watts, and then that won't drain that much of your battery because the capacities are pretty small, but we will find out once we get them. And for number 20, the AirPods Pro 2 that Apple showed off with the USB Type-C connector are not actually the same as the Lightning port AirPods Pro 2. These ones actually support 20-bit 48 kilohertz lossless audio with 4 hours of playback in that mode when connected to the Vision Pro. So if you're gonna want lossless, you have to get these new ones. They're not the same, and with that, they are actually now rated IP54 for dust resistance for both the earbuds and the charging case. So even though they look identical, they are not. And that brings me to 21. Apple's $19 USB Type-C earpods are also not just the old one with Lightning, but now with a USB Type-C connector. They're actually equipped with a digital to analog converter that also supports lossless audio. Now, I haven't used those in years. I don't know what the sound quality is like, if that's even gonna be useful, but they put in the effort to put a nice DAC inside of there, and for only 19 bucks. And for number 22, with the new AirPods Pro 2 with USB Type-C, you actually cannot buy that case separately like we have in previous years. When Apple added wireless charging to AirPods, you can buy the case separately. When they added MagSafe charging to AirPods Pro, you can also buy that separately, and that was nice because you're getting a fresh battery in there. You're getting rid of scratches, but this year they are not allowing you to do so at all, meaning most likely the new earbuds, the actual earbuds themselves, and the AirPods case are both updated. Now, for number 23, Apple made a huge deal this year about environmental impact. They got rid of leather, showing off their new cases and how that is kind of the future. And the interesting thing is, even though they showed off Hermes's new bands that are not made from leather and that they're still partnering with them, Hermes is actually still selling leather bands. Now, at first I thought that's just bands that anybody could sell and you could just buy, but that's not the case. You can actually go onto their website and order an Apple Watch Series 9 with the whole packaging and the leather band, including the exclusive Hermes watch faces. That means that Apple is working with them directly, selling them the Apple Watches, having them do their own packaging, and they're okay with them still making leather, even though Apple made such a big point against it. And that reminds me of 2020 when Apple removed the 5-watt charging bricks from Apple Watches, also stating that this is meant for the environment to help out, but then Hermes was still giving 5-watt charging bricks with their Apple Watches that you buy from them straight from the Apple Store. And people made a fuss about this kind of hypocrisy, and then Apple ended up removing it. So even though Apple's switching from leather, they're still clearly fine with leather as long as you don't buy it on their website. So there you guys go. There are 23 things that Apple did not mention at their new event. Let me know what surprised you the most. Is it the great features for the iPhone 15 or the extra features for older iPhones or something else? Go ahead and click that circle above. Check out the mouse cases down below using the link. Check out one of those videos right over there, and I'll see you in the next one.